The word Hebrew, the word Hebrew, it means region beyond, opposite side, crossing over, to cross over. Um, so yeah, very telling word, a foretelling word of who our people are. You know, as an allegory, um, we are a people that are opposite of all the nations. We are opposed to all the nations in the spirit. Um, Ultimately, the potential of our people, right? The ultimate climax of our people through the blood of Yahweh Shai, the Son of Yahweh. We will be on the opposite side of this reality, which is in the flesh. The opposite side is going to be the new bodies, the region beyond. Region beyond, you can interpret as the kingdom. Region means land. Beyond means a place that's undiscovered. Um, so region beyond, you can interpret that as the kingdom, you know, of Yahshua Allah, the kingdom of Israel, with our Lord Yahweh Shai, from the power of the Father Yahweh. So, but it all starts with Abraham. You know, Abraham was known as the first Hebrew and the descendants of Eber, and it starts with Abraham. You know, he was known as the first Hebrew because he crossed over from the land of Ur and was told by the Most High Yahweh by Shemashai to come into the land of Canaan, which is really now called the land of Israel. So the show is going to go into that. All right. So without further ado, I'd like to say, Kal Halal, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Ruach Kodash, Thawada, Yahweh for giving us Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles of GMS who have the 100% spirit of Yahweh Shemai in them. Double honors to the CT bishops, elders of GMS, Arabic Akim, and greetings and salutations to the Akim in this country and all over the world, prophesying in the true name of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, which is none other than the power of the nation of Israel, which consists of you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, and anybody who's descendants from those people on their father's side. Shalom. I'm Yaiquab, Lord willing, serving the King of the universe, King Yahushai, from the power of Yahweh, the Father of our Lord, the Father of the nation of Israel. And we're going to talk about the Father too. We're going to talk about Abraham, Abraham, right? Father exalted, but really translate. You change his name to Abram to Abraham. Abraham. We're going to get the real uh, um, um, pronunciation on that in the Lashon Kodash, the Paleo Hebrew. But Abraham, father of many nations, you know. Um, but the chosen seed went through Isaac, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, our forefathers of the nation of Israel, the three patriarchs, right? Lineage. So anyway, this is stemming from the thing going into the book of Hebrews. Like Apostle Taro been saying lately. He always been saying it, but he's been saying it a lot that we got to challenge ourselves and go to these prophetic breakdowns. Um, go into these books. Again, that's what separates a man of the Lord from the rest. Okay, so anyway, so this is stemming off the Hebrew little thing I'm doing, going into the book of Hebrews. So last week I did 1 and 2, chapters 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And, I did want to check with Apostar on something, I asked him, and, he inspired the show through the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai, So, um, and so anyway, I looked up Hebrew. We all know what it means. But even looking it up, it's I learned even more just by looking it up. So I just want to bring this out in the show, and it's Yapa, man. It's foretelling of who we really are as a people. Um, Before I looked it up, I thought it just meant from the past, from the past, which it does. I told Apostle R that, but he said some Yapa. He said, well, Abraham. It means he said cross over. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. And he said Abraham means cross. It references Abraham crossing over, right? Crossing over from a land that was beyond, a region beyond that was unknown really to the people that he crossed over to, the land of Canaan. So that was basically an ancient way of saying it, like a foreigner, you know. Um, and we're about to go into all these words. We're about to look at it. So anyway, Paul Star said it beautifully. He said, when you basically cross over, right, right, it's like if you look behind you, it is like you're looking in the past, right? You're in the past or the opposite side. So I was like, oh wow, the light bulbs went off, So yeah, man. So we're gonna go into that, and and let's go right into it, man. So I'm gonna try to not to pause as much because the past recordings, if I pause, then the whole voice from the picture is off, So I hate that. And then look at this, man. Right before I sat down to do the show, right before I hit the button, right, I see this background. I said, wow, man, that's a spirit. You got lamb here on the bottom here, and basically it kind of goes into the show, region beyond, uh, 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 a far from a far land, the opposite side, And again, we're about to go into these maps, and you're about to see why. But again, it represents who we are, starting with Abraham, right, and then really us, the vibration of us as a people. All right, so let's get right into it. Like I said, I'm going to try to pause this not as much because once I pause, it's like messed up. So let's get right into this. Okay, as you see, I got it right here queued up. Let's see if I first want to go there. For Salakia, but it goes back to Eber, right? So we got to go back to Eber, right? Eber. I should have said that first. Okay, good. 7 minutes. So, oh, right here, the spirit got it. All right. So really, everything stems from Eber. Let's read a little bit about Eber. Hold up. Okay, let's go to Eber real quick. We're gonna go to we're gonna go read about Eber. Let's see if I could type it here. Eber. Slovakia. Eber. Slovakia. That's why I like to pause it, But hopefully you're still there. I want to save this one. Let's pull up another window. Eber. Because we have to go to the book of Genesis, right? So right here, Genesis 10. We'll just read that real quick. Right, and descendants of Noah, right? So it all starts with Eber, right? When we read about Eber, one of the descendants of Shem, right? Our forefather, right? Noah, Shem, and Ham. Excuse me, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, right? The three sons of Noah after the flood, and we come out the line of Shem, right? We're the descendants of Shem. So are because there are 5 families of the Hebrews as well, right? Because out of the line of Shem, you have the Hebrew. Excuse me. You had. Well, let's just read it, man. Hebrew Moabites, Hebrew Amorites, Hebrew Ishmaelites, Hebrew Edomites, Hebrew Israelites. All right. So let's go to it's real quick. Where's Eber at? Ten and 21. Okay. Okay, so Eber first appears in verse 21, right? Genesis 10 and 21. It says, unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, all right, the brother of Japheth, right, the elder, even to him were children born. So again, unto Shem, right, who we are descendants of, also the nation of Israel, the father of the children of Eber, right, the brother of Japheth, and Japheth the elder, even to him were children born. Let's see if I see some here. So let's look up Eber real quick. Now, if you read down here, it says the children of Shem, Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, Lud, Aram. And the children of Aram, Uz, and Hol, Gether, and Mash. And Arphaxad begat Selah, Salar begat Eber. So after Shem, right, uh, it went through Shem, it went through Arphaxad, and it went through Arphaxad had begat Selah, and Selah begot Eber. All right. Matter of fact, just curious, let's look up what Arphaxad is. Kind of curious what it means. Let's look up that real quick. Let's look that up as a bonus. Extra credit. I didn't have to do that. I don't know why I did that. So like, let's go to Strong's. Where's our facts at again? Our facts says right here, H775. Let's look it up. Ooh, that's a long one, right? Our fact says so. Let's see if we can pronounce it. Arapa, ka, shad. So let's see. Arap, arapa, ka, shad. Arapa, kashad. Arapa, kashad. Arapa, kashad. Right? It says, I shall fail as the breast. He cursed the breast bottle. The third son of Shem. Our fact said, wow, I didn't know that. The third son. That number 3, man. Can't get away from that number. That's a good number. Means understanding, which is really the Holy Spirit, upon us. We have the true spirit. We're the spirit of truth. Our facts are probably foreign origin. Our facts are some Manoah, right? Let's see if we get some more out here. It says, of the children of Shem, designated at the same time or people or region, nor is the conjecture of both chart improbable. The name this is favored by etymology, boundary, and now we're going way back too, man. This is the land, the start of Mesopotamia, Sumar, the Kushites, so to speak, the beginning of civilization, right? We're about to read all that. So this is going way back. And I can't help to think about when we think about Eber, it's like almost saying back to the future, because we are from the past and this language, but we do represent the future, we do represent the future. The whole world is going to be under the vibration of us, right? The Hebrew Israelites. All right, so let's go to Eber real quick. Let's go to Eber right here. And Eber means, in the Hebrew, it's Ibar, if I'm pronouncing that right. Eber, Ibar, which is the region beyond, okay? Again, region beyond, region is a land, right? We can look that up real quick. Region right? An area or division, especially part of a country or the world having uh, definable characteristics, but not always fixed boundaries, right? You can interpret that really means again where Abraham came from, the land of Ur, but on a spiritual level as well, especially part of a country or the world having definable. Oops, hold up. Oh, area, sector, section, belt. I had that by accident. District, quarter, right? A region, really, on a higher level, the region of the kingdom of heaven and beyond. We look at beyond, right, real quick, at or to the further side of, right? Happening or continuing after a specific time or event. Happening or continuing after a specific time and event. Yeah, that a great event is through the blood of the Lord, and He got us. He's gonna get us into He got us into the kingdom by His blood. On a spiritual analysis, I'm looking at, right, where we will continue forever, region beyond the kingdom, at or to the further side of. Right, we're gonna get to the other side, but again, it goes back to Abraham, region beyond, another land, right? Just like this picture here, right? The background, just like this picture here, right? Looks like a region beyond. Look at the hills. I can't help to think about Ezra when he said, "I saw a mountain." When he talked about the comeback to the Lord, and he saw a mountain carved off. It was so big, it seemed like it was a mountain, or earth was carved off. This looks like it. All right, so I'm sidetracking. So let's go back. So yeah, region beyond, son of Selah, great grandson of Shem, father of Peleg, Joktan. Peleg means division. We're not going to go into that, but dividing it was an allegory for the angels to the power of the Lord, dividing the languages. So, um, everybody can't be one, right? Harmony and oneness or one accord only belongs to the people of the Lord, not the whole world, right? And eventually, we will be all in accord under the theocracy, the government of our Lord when He comes back, where we're gonna be ambassadors of the new world, teaching the world of truth, starting with the commandments, the law, such commandments of the Lord. And it says, what else we got here? Eber, the name of two patriarchs. So we got that. Let's see anything else. Region on the other side, right? Here we go. Region on the other side, the kingdom, and against hence Abraham, situated across a stream. That's right, because Abraham crossed over, I believe, the river Euphrates or the sea to come over to the other side of Canaan. We're about to look at that, the map route he took. The region situated across the Arnon, Genesis 11:18, right? Share some scriptures. The region beyond the Euphrates, the opposite region or region over against the opposite side, whether there be a valley or whatever else may be between. From the other side, from beyond. Hebrews, as to the difference between this and Israelites, see under. So we got that, right? The region beyond. So let's go to Hebrew. Let's go to, where am I now? We'll go here. Again, this is more stuff on Eber. Okay. Right, same thing. Passage straight against beyond, right? We are against the rest of the nations, rest of the world. Over, quarter, passage, straight. Region beyond or across side. Region across beyond. Side of opposite side. The opposite side. Okay. Region on the other side. Situated across a stream. So let's go to Abraham now. The land of Ur, present today, is southern Iraq. I was looking up earlier before the show. As you can see here, the map. Southern Iraq, but let's go right to Abraham real quick. All right, here we go. So this is your Paul, like I said. So we're reading about Abraham, right? And it says the phrase Abraham crossed it means basically Abraham crossed over. The phrase doesn't mean that. Let me just read. The phrase Abraham crossed over primarily refers to his physical migration from Mesopotamia to the land of Canaan in obedience to God's call. This act of migration is also the likely origin of the term Hebrew. We're about to read his when the Lord told him. Physical crossing. According to the biblical narrative, Abram, later, which was called Abraham, right? Father exalted and then changed to a father of many nations, the nation of Israel. Left Ur of the Chaldeans and traveled to Haran with his family, including his father, Terah, and nephew Lot, right? Lot of Sodom and Gomorrah. After his father's death at age 75, the Most High commanded him to leave his country and kindred and go to a land that he would show him. He then departed from Haran and traveled to Canaan. This journey involved crossing the Euphrates River. All right. So again, Abraham crossed over. The first Hebrew, spiritual and linguistic meaning. The Hebrew word for Hebrew is, we looked up, Ibar, which is derived from Ibar, meaning to pass over, right? Or to cross over, or to pass through. This all represents Abraham, the descendants of Eber. To pass over, to cross over. And again, you hear a lot of undertone. You hear a spiritual undertone, a spiritual foresight, foretelling, really, that represents the whole nation passing over through the blood of the Lord, to cross over, to pass through. And it's funny, just spiritually, just analyzing, the Lord is the one overall who made us cross over, to the kingdom, through his blood. I did a show going into the Lord a few months back, going into the ark. The Lord's the ark of the covenant. He's the ark of the covenant that he gave to our forefathers. And ark means a bridge, a bow, right? So to get to the other side of something, you need a bridge, right? So look at that. So we're gonna cross over to the other side of the kingdom through the blood of the Lord, and ultimately physically through the chariots, the elect. To cross over, to pass through. Origin of the name Hebrew. One tradition suggests that the Canaanites or local people called Abram the Hebrew, the one who crossed over, because he came from beyond the Euphrates River. So there you go. All right. So that's how first was really known on a big level. And again, it's not surprising. It's Abraham. It started with him. That's how we know that he's, Samuel. And if Samuel was known as the first prophet, like the first major prophet. I won't go into too much in it to the genealogies, but that's how we know it's him. That's how we know that's Abba Bivens. That's how we know it's John the Baptist. All that same spirit, because he had that heavy. Let me get a precept real quick, because he came back in his same lot. So to be called the first Hebrew, you can tell is that it's the spirit of Samuel, Abraham, John the Baptist, you know. Didn't the Lord say, I believe, the greatest of the prophets is John the Baptist? Correct me if I'm wrong. This is being pre-recorded, so that proves again that it's Oop, oh man, I didn't want to lose that. Okay, let's keep that. Let me open this window. Let's go to what was I looking up? Damn, it's locking my mind. It's going fast. What was I about to look up? That's bad. I just forgot. What the hell I was doing. Maybe I'll come back. Salak, I was about to look up something. All right, Salakia out there, man. I just forgot. 2 seconds. So let's stay on course. I was gonna read something, but let me just go back to what we were reading. Okay, it says here again, right? The physical crossing is seen. Excuse me. One tradition suggests the Canaanites. Excuse me. Spiritual linguistic meaning, right? We read that already. To cross over, to pass through. It says the origin of the name Hebrew. One tradition suggests the Canaanites are local people called Abram the Hebrew, the one who crossed over, because he came from beyond the Euphrates River. Very simple. A spiritual transition, right? Spiritual meaning. The physical crossing is seen as symbol of a spiritual transition. It represents Abraham's departure from the idolatrous practices of his homeland to the worship of the one true God, right? Because remember, he came from the land of Ur, the Chaldeans, which is warlocks into the zodiacs, the familiar spirits, stargazers, prognosticators, right? But on a higher level, like I said before, the spiritual transition is us really being translated into the new bodies, us being translated into the kingdom. So that's what I get from it. So that, like I said, that word Hebrew represents us. Now it says a new identity. That's right. Being crossed over became the identity of being separate from surrounding pagan cultures and belonging to God's chosen people who lived by faith and obedience. That's right. So again, a new identity, right? Being crossed over become an identity of being separate from surrounding pagan cultures. So what is that saying? Right? Being separate. Excuse me. Just one that being separate from surrounding pagan culture. So it's like we're the opposite side of the rest of the nations, right? The nations are here, and we're over here. Or let me use my right hand, my left hand, right? We're over here. You see me? We're over here. Excuse me. The nations are over here, right? And we're over here, right? So you could kind of say the other nations, the heathens, are opposite side of the Hebrew Israelites, man. You know? So anyway, fulfillment. So that's the new identity, all right, of the fulfillment of promise. This initial crossing foreshadowed the later crossing of the Jordan River by his descendants. This is true. The Israelites to enter the possession of the promised land as the Most High had uh, uh, covenanted with Abraham. Yeah, I think Joshua and Caleb finished the job that Moses started at the Exodus out of Egypt when the Lord Yahweh Bashimai Shai saved us out of Egypt, right? Joshua and Caleb, right, fulfill that by crossing the River Jordan. Okay. It says, in essence, Abraham crossed over signifies, and because we are the seed of Abraham, so eventually that happened, right? In essence, Abraham crossed over signifies an act of faith, obedience, and transition that marked the beginning of the Hebrew people and the fulfillment of God's promises. So this is our story, man. Going back to our heritage, our beginnings. It all started with Abraham coming from the land of Ur, and the Lord gave us a land. He gave us a land, and the covenant was to be established in that land. You know, and as you see, the sea had seeds as the stars of heaven. Right? I like how it said here. It said right here under new identity. It said separate from the surrounding pagan cultures and belonging to God's chosen people who lived by faith and obedience. And that's right, because that's what sets us apart. The portion of Jacob is not like them, meaning our power, the Father, we are like the Lord. But overall, we have what differentiates us from the nations is they have idols. We don't. Okay, we believe on the unseen God, right? As the nations or the other people like to say, the unseen God, um, or the Stoics refer to them, right? The unseen God. So we live by faith, right? Faith is the evidence of things not seen, right? The substance of things hoped for. Hebrews 11:1. So that's integrity. That takes integrity, right, and obedience. So we obey the Lord, right, through His laws, statutes, commandments. All right. So that was that there real quick. Now I'm gonna show a map as well. We can go to the map now. Look at the travels of Abraham. Then we'll go to the scriptures, right? So we have here the land of Ur. We have here the land of Ur, Eridu, of the Chaldeans, right? You have here Sumer represents the one of the first. It was first civilizations, Sumer or Mesopotamia. This is Mesopotamia we're looking at. Fertile Crescent, right over here. Oh, it's also, remember, this is southern Iraq. Okay. Now Abraham traveled from Ur all the way up. He by the river Euphrates, all the way up, right? And landed in Haran, right? And he stayed there until he was 75, until his father died, and that's when the Most High talked to him, right here. We were about to read it, and he traveled, and the Lord told him to go to the land of Canaan, and he traveled all the way down here, as you see. Excuse me, Slack, and in the land of Canaan, which is today Israel. Jerusalem right here, right? You got Egypt, Zoan. So let's see if we can look at other quick maps. Other good ones, right? Chaldeans, journey of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So journeys of Abraham is the red. So right here, going up, Euphrates River, up to Haran. He was there until 75. This is when Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, talked to him. Came down. Then he told him to go to Canaan, right here. Journey of Isaac, his son, all in here. Hebron, Beersheba, Kadesh, Gebar, Morah. Journeys of Jacob. Jacob traveled too. Here, and then went back up to Haran. Main roads. All right, so that's it right there. Abraham left Ur, moved with his father to Haran. I can't read the rest there. Yep, Abraham was 75 and he had no children. Yep. Oh, these are all the maps. Wow. Okay, so I'm sorry. So you kind of see, I don't know where my mind's at, but you kind of see, right? He came. Now you understand the word where it means region beyond, right? He came from this region, right, from Haran and all the way down to Canaan, right? He crossed over Euphrates, then he came back down. You know, so they refer to him as we read. How did it phrase it? It phrased it as to Abraham crossed over. It said that, excuse my memory. Yeah, origin of the name. One tradition suggests that the Canaanites are local people, right, called Abraham, the Hebrew, the one who crossed over, right? The one who crossed over. So let's go back. So we got that, right? We can read a little more here, but let's go to the scriptures first before I read. Let's get that story in there. That's Genesis, I think Genesis 12. Right, we read about Eber, start of the show earlier. The days of Terah. Now this is where the story. Okay, so Abraham begins here, Genesis 11 and 31. Man, I'm sorry, over here. So descendants of now it talks about Abraham. We'll start from verse. Remember we read the lineage Eber and Peleg, and it says, and Peleg lived 30 years and begot Reu, and Peleg lived after he begot Reu 209 years, and begot sons and daughters. It says and Reu lived 230 years and begot Sarach, and Reu lived after he begot Sarach 270 years and begot sons and daughters, and Sarach lived 30 years and begot Nahar. And Sarag lived after he begot Nahar 200 years and begot sons and daughters. Let's go down. It says, and these, excuse me, and Nahar lived after he begot Terah and 119 years and begot sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years and begot Abraham, Nohar, and Haran. So this is Abraham and his brothers, and his father was Terah, right? And it says, now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begot Abraham, Nohar, and Haran. And Haran begot Lot. It says, so Lot was Abraham's nephew because Abraham's brother Haran begot Lot. It says, Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldees. So they were in the land of the Chaldeans, Sumar. And Abram, and Nohar, his brother, took them wives. The name of Abraham's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahar's wife, Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of of Iscah. So let's look at Abram. We already know. Let's look it up for edification's sake. Abram, right? Pronounce it right. Abaram, which exalted father exalted, right? So we got that. The founder and father of the the Israelites, the Israelites nation, the son of Terah, born in Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, they say. Right? Ooh, hold up. It says, and sojourned in the land of Canaan with his flocks and kind of a nomadic life. He was a nomad, a wanderer, but he wandered on to the promised land. Father of elevation, father exalted. father of multitude. That's right. Okay. So so we got that. So let's go to chapter 12. Oh, I might have to pause this. My voice might be off. Let me pause it. Hold up. Shalom, shalom. Hopefully, my voice is off. It might be off though. I hate that. I had to pause it to get this window short. So let's read a little bit of this real quick. It says, now at the beginning of Abraham's journey to Egypt, it says, now the Lord Yahweh, right, all caps, he said unto Abram, get thee out, right? Get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee. I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curses thee. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So Abraham departed as the Lord Yahweh hath spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abraham was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And like we just saw on the map, and Abram, right, took Sarai. Let's see it pronounce that right. Sharayah or Sharayah. Okay, so okay, Sharayah, princess. Okay, my princess or my princess, nobility. Right, one of known as very beautiful, fair woman. Oh, I remember what I was gonna get 10 minutes later. I was going to get Corinthians 14 and 34, 32. The prophets are subject to the prophets. So going into that, Abraham had to be Samuel. Had to be Elijah, Elisha, John the Baptist, because they were known as the forefront of Israel, like major. They had the same vibration, you know, in the spirit. Abraham was known as the first Hebrew. Samuel was known as the first prophet, major prophet. Elisha, uh, known for his another major prophet as well. Because he was so holy, he was the only one who got beamed up. I think Enoch as well. And then you had John the Baptist. I believe the Lord said he was the greatest prophet, which is to be called the best prophet is like you're the first, so that's all the same spirit down to Abba Bivens, because it all, again, see, proving that's Abba Bivens because it all started with Abba Bivens going into the leaving the commandment keepers, that group, and he himself, the Most High, was with him to go into the New Testament, which really is this going into Yahushai, or the New Covenant, really. The New Testament is the New Covenant, which is the blood of the Lord, you know. Okay, so we got that. You could also say he crossed over to the New Testament in a way, right? Abba Bivens. All right, so where were we? And now verse 25, I think we were at. And Abraham took Sarah his wife, and Lot his brother, son, his nephew, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, that people that were under them who worked for them, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. And Abraham passed through the land unto the place of Sichem, onto the plain of Morah, and the Canaanite was then in the land. So when they saw Abraham, again, like we read earlier, they said, "Oh, Abraham, the one who crossed over, he's the one from that region beyond, a far region. He crossed over the Euphrates. He crossed over. He's from the other side. He's from the opposite side of the water, of the land, of the region." Okay? So everything makes sense. So it says, "And the Lord appeared unto him. Abraham said, Unto thy seed will I give this land, and there builded he an altar unto the Lord who appeared unto him." And it says, "And he removed from thence unto a mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west, and Hiah on the east, and there he builded an altar unto the Lord Yahweh, and called upon the name of the Lord Yahweh. And Abraham journeyed going on still toward the south. And there was a famine in the land, and Abraham went down into Egypt to sojourn there, to the famine where it was grievous in the land." So we got that part. That's really all I wanted to read there about Abraham's journey, him going into the land of Canaan, and how the Most High talked to him. Let's read a little more about how the Most High talking to Abraham. Let's see where the next part is. Let's read this. This is good history. It says, and when Lot and Abraham went their separate ways, it says, "And Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents, and the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle, and the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelled then in the land." So you had basically Abraham, you had Lot. They're basically like two kings. On the same region. How can you can't have really two kings ruling, right? So they had so much land, they had so much people under them, so much herdmen that they were fighting with each other, fighting for plots of land. So he said, well, we're going to read, and then you had the other nations there too. It says, "And Abraham said unto Lot, Let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we are brethren, we be brethren. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. And if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left." Being righteous, and humble of Abraham. Wherever you go, I'll just go the opposite way. And that's spiritual too, right? Wow, I'm just realizing he just kind of said his name, his vibration. He said, "Look, wherever you go, I'm going to be on the opposite side." So that's kind of heavy too. "And Lot lifted up his eyes, and behold, all the plain of Jordan, that was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar." All right, so we read that. We got that. A little history there. Let's see when the Most High talked to the Lord, and we'll just move on to the next scriptures. Okay, in verse 14, Genesis 13-14, it says, "And the Lord said unto Abraham, after that Lot was separated from him, Lift up now thine eyes and look from the place where thou art, northward and southward and eastward and westward, all directions, right? For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it, and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee." Then Abram Abram removed his tent and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord. So this verse here, right, it says, and the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, and lift up now thine eyes and look from the place where thou art northward and southward and eastward, right? So, and westward, basically look all around you. So, yeah, for all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. So let's look at this scene real quick. Oh, they took away the scene. Oh, man, I want that background of that land. Oh, well. We got a bird. I don't know what that means, but it means something, right? It means something. All right, so we got that. So pretty much almost done. Now we could just move on. I think I got everything. I could just move on to the next scriptures, the final scriptures. And we just read about Abraham's journey. I got here the meaning of word Hebrew, crossing over. So now you know. God's chosen people identify themselves as Hebrews, both in the Old Testament and in the New. Philippians 3:5. Abram was the first person to be called Hebrew, even though he was from Ur of the Chaldeans. So what does Hebrew really mean? The word Hebrew is simplest sense means one from beyond. See, again, one from beyond. Right? Okay, that's Abraham. Right? Oh, that's the man from beyond, something like to that effect, right? This makes sense as the first time we see the word Hebrew is used when Abraham is called Abraham the Hebrew, or Abraham, Abram one from beyond. This may have referred to the fact that Abraham came from the other side of the Euphrates River and is settled in the plains of Mamre, closely connected to the word Ivri. Hebrew in the Hebrew language is Eber, which means beyond, across. So one who comes across or comes from beyond is a Hebrew. You see? And that's like spiritual to me, man, because again, so one who comes from across and from beyond is a Hebrew. And it's almost like foretelling on the kingdom, that we came through, we're descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But we are from this. We are from the future world. The kingdom which is forever. The region beyond. Right. It's right here. Region beyond, or cross side, the opposite side. What's the opposite side of this world? The kingdom. Okay. We're about to cross over. The Lord's about to make us cross over. The ocean, or we're not. No, we don't know what it's going to look like when these missiles hit, right? According to biblical prophecy. But the Lord's going to carry us back into our land by the chariots, right? We're going to cross over back over there, man. We're going to go in, and that's going to be a new region beyond, undiscovered, the kingdom of heaven. Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard what the Lord has in store for us, right? So that's the true region beyond. Okay, and the blood of the Lord, he's that bridge that made us cross over. We walked on the Lord through the faith of him to get to that land, to cross over to the kingdom, to cross over to the new bodies. All right. Pass over or by through. This is all the analogies of alienate, bring, carry, to do away, take away, transgress, pass. Yep. To take away, transgress, to pass over, cross over, pass over, march over, overflow, go over, to pass beyond, pass through, traverse. All this means that. Look at that. All this. Wait a minute, man. Wow. Wait a minute. It should be noted that the story of Abraham is connected to the word Abar, which is Passover, as we see it is one of the first things mentioned about him. Wow. Wow, Passover. Look at that. Yeah, and that's the first holy day of the year. You got the new moon and the Sabbath, which brings in the beginning of the days of the new year. But the first holy day is the Passover. And wow, I'm just right in real time. I'm I'm learning this. I'll say. So it's like that's symbolic of man. Even the word Passover, it really represents who we are. Because Passover really represents the Lord Yahushai. You know, um, his sacrifice, and also when the Most High used Moses to Ezekiel 9:4. All right, Ezekiel 94. When I felt let's go to it. Really, that's what really represents Ezekiel 9:4. Let's go to that real quick. Ezekiel 9:4. I read. It says, "And the glory of the Lord." I'll start from one. He cried also in my ear with a loud voice, the vision of slaughter, right? Because it passed over the ones that the Lord was going to slaughter in Egypt, the Israelites. He cried also in my ears with a loud voice, saying, "Cause them that have the charge over the city to draw near it, even every man with his destroying weapon in his hand." It says, "And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lieth toward the north, and every man a slaughter weapon in his hand, and one man among them was clothed with linen, with a writer's inkhorn by his side, and